people come here, or for God's sake even know that Dax exists. This is how it feels to drown. This is how it looks when you lost and you can't be found. The abyss was a place I'd visit, but I went so much that I'm gone and I'm stuck here now.
It's on, remember on Get Out, the movie Get Out, and they did the sunken place. You know, the guys on the sunken place. You know, the visual that Jordan Peele did where he was inside himself but can only see, you know what I'm saying? That part where, I love how he did that because he's showing that, you know, you're in your mind, but you can only see so far, and everything seems so far away. And I think when I watch this, I feel that for him.
When you start to feel sorry for yourself, you do introduce yourself to something dark.
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. So we have gotten quite a few requests on Dax, and the one that keeps coming up, you guys keep talking about, is called Abyss. It was really hard finding that, because a lot of these songs obviously are copywritten, right? But thankfully YouTube still allows you to put it up there. We just won't get monetized for it. Which, by the way, like, speaking on that, like, there are some things where I feel like the message is more important than the money. I like Dax and all of these people, all these new rappers, and that needs to be promoted more. So even if we don't get monetized for it, like, I feel like it's still worth it because it's more of the message they're sending out, and we don't have enough of that in music. So let's just take a look and see what this is about.
Everything I did, I always gave it my best. I don't know if anyone relates, but the feeling that I get is like a truck sitting on my chest. Wondering how much do I got left? My last call, my last step. I'm not gonna wait just to see what's next. I go hard cause today could be my last breath. We do life and we can't relive it. We only get one chance. If you blink, then you might just miss it. Swear you'll miss it. Many people come and go, they all just visit. Don't ever expect nothing different. Just listen as I paint this image that you'll all revisit. Yeah, my glass half empty, but I still might sip. But I was traumatized. What would you have said when you was looking in my mama's eyes? Nothing. Yeah, I might have said I was okay, but I probably lied. So this pain is how I harmonize. Make an impact, that's what I personify. And yes, I'm making music that you cannot just define by the numbers on my Spotify. All of this pain, I just wanna be happy. Mom almost died the same day that she had me. Driving to the hospital, she swerved and crashed badly. Doctor said I was a miracle while looking at my daddy. I was 0 when I first dodged death. I was 6 when the devil told me watch my step. Couldn't sleep, I was scared to go inside my bed. Fighting demons, I was hearing things inside my head. So back to the doctor, he didn't have a diagnosis. So my whole damn life I felt lost while fighting psychosis. Talking to myself, hoping nobody would notice. Mom said pray every time I heard the voices. Life or death every day, I swear I made choices. Knife in my hand, trying not to lose focus. Playing basketball religiously to drown out the noises, man. Let me explain that, it's like laying on train tracks. Grabbing guns, contemplating blowing your brain back. Eyes closed shut, watching everything fade black. People stepping over you, you feel like a placemat. Fuck, and let me make it clear. God is the only one that I've ever feared. But you start to get paranoid and look over your shoulder when these people have been hurting you for so many years, so I had to escape. If you listening, I know that you relate. Is that feeling that you get like your life and existence was all just one big mistake? I felt trapped and I couldn't find space. I went and got lost in the things I'd create. Ever since I was a kid, people hated and they judged everything that I did. So I went into my mind and created the abyss, man, I swear I did. How the hell y'all think I make all these hits? It's cause I've been broken, beaten, dragged, laughed at, scorned, burned, and kicked. So I get to reach in this endless pit of hurt and pain from all that shit. And that's the only reason that you people come here, or for God's sake even know that Dax exists. This is how it feels to drown. This is how it looks when you lost and you can't be found. The abyss was a place I'd visit, but I went so much that I'm gone and I'm stuck here now. This is not music, this is not dope. This is me begging y'all to throw me a rope so I can try to climb up the place where I came in my life when I spiraled and first lost hope. Let me explain. I've been Dax so long, I get PTSD when somebody says my real name. But I guess that's the price you pay. I didn't want it to be like this, but I guess it is what it is. Inside the abyss.
Wow, that was like his life, right? That was really deep. So this the irony of this is that this is what I mean, where sometimes it's not about the money, it's the message.
There are people who were born into the world. I mean, I remember, okay, so like for myself, you know what I mean, when I lost everything, you know, I never thought about like a suicide, but it was the first time I was like at the edge.
Yeah.
Not that I was going to kill myself, but I could understand. It's like God was letting me see why it is people do that. When you feel completely irrelevant and you feel completely empty, like nobody, like you don't matter. A lot of people who are raised in like families where they get child molested, you know, it's the way you come into the world, and then you're in the world, and then you don't fit in.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like I've said before that I used to be so mad because when I was younger, I used to think that, you know, like all I ever wanted to do was to get married and have children. But I didn't have that example, and I didn't understand why God would put me in a family that wouldn't prepare me to be married with children. So I just felt sort of like this lost.
Right. That edge, like he's on the edge there.
Like you don't realize, you don't understand. It's because once you're born, you have to deal with everything your parents raised you to be, and then you have to fit into the world. And a lot of people think that when you turn 18, like we were saying this earlier, when people think when you turn 18, then you're an adult and you're responsible, and you are. But it doesn't mean that everything that you were raised with is just going to magically go away at 18 because you're an adult.
Yeah.
You now have to maneuver life, and that's not easy. Particularly if you were raised, and particularly if you were put in a situation where you didn't get the middle class parents where they raised you well, took you to church, and they did all that.
Yeah.
You then have to figure out life on your own.
Because clearly he didn't get the ideal.
He obviously didn't.
Atmosphere
and
I
connect
raising.
with that.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love my mom, and as much as I've forgiven my dad, it changed me.
Yeah.
And it made me feel lost at a very young age, where I stopped dating for 10 years. Right, I was 27. I didn't date again. And it's because I just didn't want to be a single mother, and I realized I was attracted to something that I shouldn't have been attracted to, and I need to get right with myself and I had to find myself, you know what I mean? And so it took me a long time to get there. So I connected with that on a different level because I understand what it feels like to feel irrelevant. I know what it feels like to feel lost. I know what it feels like to feel like you don't understand.
It's not like this, but kind of made me feel like the idea of this on, remember on Get Out, the movie Get Out, and they did the sunken place. You know, the guys on the sunken place. You know, the visual that Jordan Peele did where he was inside himself, but can only see, you know what I'm saying? That part where, I love how he did that because he's showing that, you know, you're in your mind, but you can only see so far, and everything seems so far away. And I think when I watch this, I feel that for him. Is that I'm happy that he's come out of it and everything, but people's the vision, the tunnel is so narrow and so dark that sometimes people can't see that there is a light on the other side for you to get out and bloom and blossom and be who you are. But you do kind of have to go through, like he's going through that valley of, you know, like fear and you know, despair and depression, you know. And I don't know, I like that he told the truth on that, because I think what we see in society today is that people are giving you glossies of their life. You know what I mean? Like the happiness of their life all the time. And I think we're seeing a little bit too much of that. It's not that we have to have people show a depressing moment all the time, but I do like when people can tell the truth. And that's what I love about things like this, is that he's able to just tell the truth of his life. And I do think that people, like society would be better if we stopped making it to where everything just looks so perfect, you know, with this whole social media and all that. There's real, like, pain in people's lives. There's a lot of pain going on that no one's really, you know, like, willing to show, I guess you can say. And he was willing to at least show that.
Yeah.
But it is kind of hard when you are in a situation where you don't see, you know, like she mentioned when we lost everything. Like it's an interesting dynamic when you don't see a way out, you know, and it's hard because you don't know how it's going to happen. And then God enters your life, which is why I'm glad he mentioned that. Because God is really what's going to kind of catapult you to where you need to be. And also God kind of shows you, you know, what you've done wrong and where you're going wrong. you know.
And that's why to me there's like generational legacy of pain
Yeah.
in families.
I
It's
agree.
not because
Yeah.
it's not because you can't ever get out of it. It's because you take on who came before you,
Yes.
sort of thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And by the way, I know before somebody in the comments says something like, "Oh, that's what we talk about when we talk about PTSD from slavery." I'm not talking about that because white people get to. My grandmother was white, and my grandmother came from a broken family. And she met my grandfather, who was black, at a time when being black and white and married in the late 50s and 60s was not cool and dangerous.
Right.
My grandfather, they broke up. And then she met another man that wasn't good. And so what I'm saying is that, and then my mother also took on some pain because of that. And then she met my father, who also had trauma.
It's a cycle.
And then now they've got 2 daughters.
And then we
You
both,
know what I mean? And
we
then,
both were with men that had problems.
then we, right. You know, so what I'm saying is that it is hard. It is hard when you, when you have to figure out life, figure out what your parents couldn't give you.
Yeah.
On your own.
When you didn't have the example.
Lessons that a lot of kids get from their parents that you don't get. You know what I mean? And then you feel alone.
And when you don't have, it's like when you don't have the example, you learn through trial and error.
You beat yourself. So many people go on drugs and drink, or when you see a prostitute, no one just becomes a prostitute. There's something wrong with them. No one just becomes a drug addict. No one just becomes a single mother. No one just becomes that isn't a thing. When I talk about those things, I'm not talking about, like, especially when we talk about single motherhood, I'm not talking about degradation. My mother's a single mother. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you don't deal with your problems, you pass it on, and then you create a generational issue. And so Dax looked like he came from something tough.
Yeah, something real tough.
And I know what that feels like. You know what I mean? I know what that feels like.
It's probably a generational problem too.
But I do know what it feels like to feel like that. To feel like you're lost in a world. And you know other people go through it. But when it's happening to you,
it feels like you're in this abyss.
Right.
I like that he used that word, because that's true.
You just feel like you're in a lost
place. You shut
in
on yourself. You shut in on yourself, and
people it put you down while you're down.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean? And people will make you feel bad. People in your family. People who don't know you.
And then you're like, oh, be strong. Like, what if you can't? Like, there's sometimes where you just can't be strong. Like that moment where you're not able to be strong, and to try to maneuver through that, trying to find your strength. This is why we rely on God. That's why we always.
And I wasn't raised with God.
Yeah, we weren't raised.
So that's another
religious,
thing.
yeah.
And a lot of people aren't. You see what I'm saying? And so it takes a long time to get right with yourself and to get strong.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'm saying. It starts. I always think that things start with the truth of your life, right? The truth of your life.
Yeah, our very first show was that.
Yeah, and a lot of people comment on our because I know you guys have found us recently. A lot of you guys are newer here, but our very first video that we put out, I don't even know why we released it. We did a video of just our circumstance, and at the time, and just kind of laid it out, and it had a good response from people, because I didn't even realize how many people were going through what we were going through, and just telling that truth, and I don't know, just it does have it takes a weight off of you. It takes a weight off of you, and then you can go on to do the next work. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. I think that we have to have more compassion for people too, and I think that the world right now lacks a lot of compassion.
And my story is a lot of people's story. I'm not special.
Yeah, I'm not special either.
I'm not at all. My story's not special, and people have had it worse than me.
Yeah.
I actually think my mom did.
Yeah.
Way worse. My mother gave me a life where at least I was safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for that, she gave me, for me, that meant I had to do better, because I know my mother's past. So I have to do better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in order to do better, you have to take responsibility. And and this is the reason why when we talk about race relations, a lot of black people get mad at us because we won't talk about racism the way they want. I don't like racism, and I don't like talking about it as a crutch, because I think that it causes weakness within our community.
Yeah.
It causes us to be able to lean on something instead of deal with something.
Yes.
We are not a broken group of people because of racism. We're a broken group of people because we make bad decisions. When I lost everything, what I had to say was, it's not because my mom, it's not because my dad, it's because Kara made bad decisions. And believe me, when you start doing stuff where you change your life, which I'm sure Dax did. It's probably why he's a musician now. He got when you start taking responsibility for the things you do immediately, instead of always blaming your parents and people that came before you, you can change a lot. And you can feel better, and you can stop looking for people to blame all the time, to scapegoat your issues. That's hard to do.
Or just tuck them away and say nothing. That creates rage within you. You know, we recently watched this movie called Devil. You guys should see. I'm not going to see that movie before, but it's a I don't know what year that is. I'll put a picture of it up here. But it's a very, very good movie. But it's called Devil, and these people on all get put on this. We're all on the same elevator. And they're all individually into some corrupt things in their life. They've done some bad things in their life.
Well, the one person on the elevator is the devil, and they don't know who it is because it takes human form.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so everybody who's stuck on this elevator did something wrong. And at the very end, the last person, it's a good story about confession.
Yeah, right.
And why God's important, and why it's important to take full responsibility.
And that's what he did. And that's what I love that about when people are able to take accountability and responsibility and not place blame on a situation, a country, a race, or whatever.
An upbringing.
Yes, it's at some points in your life you do have to figure it out. Even though you weren't dealt the best hand in life, it is still your responsibility at some point. If you want to live a good life, you know, if you want to live a real honest life, you have to tell the truth about your life and tell the truth about your shortcomings. And that's the part of the work that people don't want to do. So the work that Dax is doing in this video, a lot of people don't want to do that work, because what it's saying, what he's doing, it's saying that you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror. And no one wants to really do that and tell the actual truth of their life. If you guys hear some like banging, there's construction going on, so I'm sorry. I hope it's not distracting. I shouldn't be able to hear it, but just in case you guys hear it. But yeah, so I don't know. I do believe in taking a responsibility and not placing blame, and we promote that a lot on our on these videos that we do. We've been doing for a while, and even like from our very first video, kind of like the point really was to take accountability for your own actions, your own choices in life, you know. But yeah, when I see people like Dax, though, I do think it's very easy to coil into yourself, and that's where depression, you know.
And then even the movie Devil, it's a really good movie. I really encourage you guys to watch the movie, because
really
it is a horror film, but not in the traditional sense. Psychological thriller, really. And we might watch that later. Yeah. And so anyway, there's a part in the movie where the Hispanic guy who's totally knows what's going on, and everybody else is trying to, because it's hokey, you know, they're looking at him like he's hokey because he's religious. Yeah. And he's saying, I know what's going on. You know what I mean? He saw like the devil. He saw flashes of stuff. And there's a part where he says to everyone that it's the lies we tell ourselves that introduce us to him. Yes. And look, this is a personal story to me, because I mean, I don't think I've ever told this story, but there was a time when I was real depressed here, when I lost everything, and I mean my family wasn't talking to me. I was single. There were things I wanted. I was broke, 100% broke, and literally I grabbed my crucifix, my rosary. Yeah, rosary. And I started to listen to spiritual music. Right. And I really just prayed. And cried and prayed and cried. You know what I mean? Right. And then I fell asleep on my bed for a split second. And this is why the movie, the Devil, came to me. I connected with it a little bit, because I fell asleep, and then when I fell asleep, I had this quick dream. Like, I mean quick. Like I was in the same spot, the same bed, everything. I was lucid. I was in the dark, just like where I was. It wasn't. It was almost like it wasn't a dream. And this presence jumped on me. And called me the bee, and was mad at me, and took a knife. I didn't see it. I could just feel it on me, and stabbed me in my right hand. I woke up in a freak out, and when I woke up, I had my rosary in that hand. And I realized that when he is right, when you start to feel sorry for yourself, you do introduce yourself to something dark.
Now,
you know what I mean?
What's interesting about that, though, to me, what happened with you, is that we weren't raised in a religious atmosphere. So that happening, you wouldn't have understood.
I never had that.
Yeah, right.
After that, I started working out. I started paying off my debt.
Yeah.
I stopped feeling sorry for myself. I stopped blaming other people. I got out of my own way, and never again did anything like that ever happen to me. You know what I mean? And that was the first and only time that I'd ever felt like, oh, you're falling, because this was going on a year that I was acting like this. And crying every night, you know what I mean? And feeling sorry for myself. I didn't think so, but I was. And when I woke out of that, that scared me. And I really do realize that, yeah, when we start blaming everybody for our problems.
Yeah.
And I mean everybody, your family, men, white people. When you start trying to find scapegoats for the reason why you did turn out, then you introduce yourself to something unhappy. It's something very dark, and this is how people get led into things like prostitution and get led into things like drugs because they don't want to deal.
Yeah.
But when you do deal, believe me, it hurts, and it don't feel good.
Right.
And like Dax sitting here crying, that's where it brings you. But you do have to get those feelings out. And I'm just saying, that was just a little story I had that I don't think I've ever told you. I told you.
Yeah.
But I've never told anybody that. And I don't know if anybody can connect with that if they're going through something bad. But again, I do know that if you don't get out of your own way and you don't start forgiving people, because I'm real big on forgiveness. Because I'm not a saint. I've done bad things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if I can't forgive my parents, how can someone forgive me?
When I wasn't into like religion, I wasn't really into it. I always believed in God, but I don't think I understood it, what that really means. You can say you believe in God, but do you really believe in God? Really. And so I did always believe there was a higher power, but I just never took that into account in my own life. And now that when I look back on like retrospect, I can see where if I had like a deeper religion or belief in God, a trust in God, and that being my net, I can see where if I had that, I wouldn't have gone down the road I went down, because I would have had discipline and obedience to something that's higher than me, higher than us all. And so I feel like if I had that obedience then, I do feel like my life probably wouldn't have gone in that direction, although I do still feel like everything happens for a reason as well. So I'm not, everyone finds these things when they're supposed to find it. So I always believe that religion finds you. Even if you're brought up in religion, sometimes it takes, it finds you. Because the true beauty of people is really when you release your pain. I think he actually said that in part of his lyrics there. I forgot what he said. I'm going to paraphrase it. But he said the reason basically why he's able to make all of these hits, these good songs, is because he's releasing pain. Basically is what he's saying. It's the release of pain is where the beauty comes forward in the person.
Yeah.
Because when you're able to get that off of your back, you can truly see the person. And so, like, I have never really even heard of Dax prior to a couple of weeks ago, right, or whatever it was. We watched that last video, and I can, like, his story. You can tell he's been through something, obviously, but it would be very interesting to see him before and after. I bet he looks completely different because he's released something, and so, the beauty has come forward in him. But yeah, but as for the song in general, I like the song, I like the beat, I like all of that, but I do like the message. The message is very important. And I think that these new rappers, I really feel like they need to, as much exposure as they can get, it needs to happen to battle all this crap that's out here right now, all the crap music that's going on, this crap rap music that's going on. Seeing people like him, it really, like, I love to promote that. Let us know what you think. How did you interpret it? What was your thoughts? Did you relate to him or relate to anything we said? We'd love to hear about it, so leave some comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And that's it. We will see you guys in the next video. Bye.